I exposed a cheater to his girlfriend and my best friend got mad at me for it?
Secrets are no fun. Secrets hurt someone.
After high school, I moved out of state for college. I always kept in touch with my best friend, Anna. We kept each other informed about guys we were seeing and all of that stuff. After college, about 6 months ago, I moved back to my home state, but an hour away from my hometown. About a month ago, I decided, since I was settled, finally, to start getting back into the dating game. So I joined Tinder. By the way, this comes from Tinder Gone Wrong, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. Instantly, I met this really awesome guy named John. It turns out that John was up in my part of the state for work, but that he actually lives in my hometown. I started to realize that he looked familiar and asked if we went to elementary school together or if he just attended my church as a kid. He said he just moved to the state a couple years ago, and I chalked it up as him having one of those faces. We started chatting and hit it off pretty quickly. I told him I wasn't big into social media, and he said he wasn't either, so we exchanged numbers and started texting to communicate. Even though he lived an hour away, he commutes to my town a lot for work, and since neither of us were looking for anything serious, we figured this was a pretty awesome setup. After a while, our conversations turned a bit spicy, with some schmexy pics being sent from his side and comments about hooking up when he came back. We set up a date to have lunch and meet when he got back. During this time, I had told Anna all about him, and when I finally told her we were going to meet up, she asked for a picture. I sent her one, not one of the schmexy ones, obviously, and was surprised to find out that she had dated him for a short time, a couple of weeks, a few years back. I asked if she was okay with me seeing him, and she said she didn't care, but that she was positive he had a girlfriend.
Uh-oh.
That's how you know him. She sent me his full name so I could find him on Facebook, and sure enough, he was in a relationship.
No.
I was pissed. I instantly sent him a message confronting him. He apologized and profusely said it was a mistake to talk to me on Tinder. I told him he should be apologizing to his girlfriend.
Period.
Which he begged me not to tell. I told him to F off and blocked his number. After that, I screenshot all the messages we had sent, including him admitting to his guilt, and sent his girlfriend a Facebook message. Nice. I told her I felt awful for having even a small role in his potential infidelity and that I thought she should know. I haven't gotten a message back and I don't think I will, but I felt what I did was the right thing to do. Fast forward to a couple days ago when I came back home and went out for lunch with Anna. She asked me what ended up happening with John, and I told her. She instantly got furious and started saying stuff like, I had no business interfering with another person's relationship, and how could I destroy a relationship I wasn't part of? I got really defensive and told her that he made me part of their relationship when he tried to cheat on his girlfriend with me. Very good point. She told me I was disgusting and an awful person for what I did.
Oh my gosh.
And that I had no business messaging John's girlfriend, then paid and left. She hasn't talked to me since. I feel like I did the right thing, but the way Anna reacted and how she refuses to talk to me anymore is making me question everything. Was I right to get involved and message his girlfriend? How can I get Anna to talk to me again? And relevant comments, Brutus Clyde says, is it possible that she knows the girlfriend and she's afraid that she's going to get dragged into it? Maybe he was in the same relationship when he and Anna dated and she's afraid of being found out. Oh, wait. Anna dated him. We learned that Anna had dated him in the past.
Oh.
Remember she said Anna had dated with him and then he started seeing this up. She said, I think he's in a relationship right now.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's actually a good point because I was like, how does she know?
Yeah. So she's probably still cheating with him.
Yeah, probably.
Or maybe she knew about his infidelity and didn't say anything. And she thinks the girlfriend is going to be pissed when she finds out. I don't know, but it's pretty clear there's some backstory here. And I bet it's the non-romantic relationship between Anna and the girlfriend. OP says, that's a good shout. I never thought she could have a relationship with a girlfriend. I remember her vaguely talking about John and seeing his pictures, which is why he looks so familiar, but I don't ever remember hearing more about him. I know she's adamantly against cheating, so it'd be really surprising if she was hooking up with him while he was with his girlfriend. DRH Des says, you did the right thing. Has Anna been involved with a guy in a relationship before? Could it be that she doesn't have the same set of moral values that you do? OP says, no, she hates cheaters, which is why I was surprised by her answers. But she just kept saying that it was none of my business if her boyfriend decides to cheat. DRH Des says, like you said, he made it your business. I still believe you did the right thing. No clue about how to get Anna to see your point of view, though. Her reaction is really odd. Maybe ask her if she had been in the girlfriend's shoes. Wouldn't she want to know her man is cheating on her? OP says, I tried asking her that, and she just kept saying that it would be their business, and that it's not anyone else's business to meddle in their relationship. I'm just so baffled by it because I know she hates cheaters. Artful Wench says, so if Anna ever had a boyfriend you discovered was cheating on her, she wouldn't want you to tell her? OP says, that's gotta be my question to her. Or even worse, if Anna knew my boyfriend was cheating on me, would she not tell me? And there is an update. I didn't think I would need to update, especially after hearing nothing from John's girlfriend after the first couple of days, but here I am. First off, thanks for the comments. I know I did the right thing and I was confused by Anna's reaction, but the support that poured in helped so much. Thank you. Now, Anna still wasn't talking to me when my trip home came to an end, so I just drove back to my city and went on about my life. She ended up calling me middle of last week and said she wanted to talk about what happened. She still believed that what I did was effed up and she didn't approve. I asked her if she would ever tell me if she found out a future boyfriend of mine was cheating on me, and she said, of course, but that's because I know you. I told her I didn't see the friendship stranger status as an excuse to let a guy be crappy to his girlfriend. After a while of back and forth with the same arguments, I told her that we can agree to disagree and leave it at that. She said okay, and we hung up. After we hung up, I decided to check my Facebook, and lo and behold, there was a message from John's girlfriend in my inbox from 2 days before. I was kind of nervous to read it, but it just said, are you in blank right now? I replied that I wasn't, and an hour later, I got another message asking if I could call her and her number. I was super nervous because I had no idea what I was going to be walking into, but I figured if it got too bad, I could hang up and block her number. I called her and it was a very awkward greeting, and then she asked me to tell her everything that happened. I obliged and told her exactly what happened. I could tell she was crying on the other end, which broke my heart, and I started apologizing, but she told me not to. She was grateful that I told her. Apparently, John and her have been together for close to 4 years, which means that Anna probably cheated with him. Unless she dated him, 4 years.
Like earlier than that.
And he cheated on her a lot during the first year of being together until she found out. He promised he'd never do it again, and she took him back. She said she was always really paranoid he would cheat again, but he never showed signs or anything out of the ordinary. I apologized for being the spotlight on what a buddy was. We kind of got to chatting for a while after that, and after a while, she switched from depression to anger, and I let her vent. At the end of it all, she said she was finally going to leave him, which I agreed with, and then said that if I'm ever back in town, that she'd like to buy me a coffee, which I thought was a nice gesture, and I might take her up on the offer. By the way, you should take us up on the offer to listen to full episode stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search OK Storytime. There is a little bit left to this story. After the phone call, I was really relieved and happy about how things turned out. I went to go text Anna to tell her, but then I remembered that John's girlfriend said they were dating for 4 years. Freaking right. So I texted Anna and asked her when she dated John. It was 2 years ago.
Dude, we
literally called it.
There's no way that we couldn't have seen that coming.
Called it from a mile away.
Yeah.
She must have known that he was dating another girl, and that's why she was so effing pissed.
Yep.
So a lot of you guessed right that she was his mistress for a while. I'm not going to tell John's girlfriend since she's done with him, hopefully, and doesn't need any more heartache. But I'm definitely gonna cut Anna out of my life.
Good.
And when she asks why, I'll just tell her that I know about her and John. All in all, it turned out okay for pretty much everyone involved except for John, which is good because F that dude. Relevant comments. Thoriel says, well, before cutting your friend out completely, you could respond to her text with, just spoke with John's girlfriend. Did you know that he was in a relationship while you guys were together?
Yeah.
How Anna responds to this would be incredibly telling. Though if you're able, it would be best to ask this in person to see her physical reaction, not give her time to BS. And maybe for good measure, let your friend know how grateful the girlfriend was and that you and her are going to grab coffee when you're next in town. It was really great what you did. I hope Anna can eventually see that. And if not, well then yeah, cut her out. Opie says, I said this in another comment, but I'm not so much pissed at her stance on the subject as I am the way she treated me. She said and called me some pretty awful things and then ignored my attempts to talk to her about it for the better part of a week. No apologies for the name she called me or the things she said when she did finally talk to me. She just started the argument all over again. I've done and said some pretty crappy things to her in the past, but I've always apologized for being out of line or taking my anger out on her. But there was no apology, and I just felt like what she did isn't what best friends are supposed to do. So for now, I'm keeping her at a distance. And that is the end of that story, folks.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I think even if she wasn't involved in cheating in that way, like how you handle conflict is such an important part of any relationship, even friendship. And so the fact that she just responded with being like, oh no, you're a terrible person if you do this, or even thinking about doing this, that alone, I would just be like, okay, bye. I'm not going to be friends with you anymore.
Yeah, why would you, like, if you think that of your friend, why are you friends with them?
Exactly. I'm excluding my best friend on a trip because she wants to bring her baby.
What is this, a daycare?
I, 22 female, and my girls go on a girls trip every December since we all have breaks from uni. We're a group of 6 girls and have been doing this since we were 18. We weren't able to go last year because of the vid. By the way, this comes from Agitated Health 4692, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. My best friend, 21 female, has a 14-month-old son. Since her son was born, we haven't had a day alone with her, which I guess is understandable because she's a new mom. We tried to include her in all the plans that we had since having her child, but noticed that she would always ask if we could change what the plan was to accommodate her baby coming too. This meant that the plan was almost always a coffee shop. I genuinely didn't mind changing all the plans to be more child-friendly and just assumed that she couldn't get her man or parents to watch her baby for a while. I called her a few weeks ago to ask if she wanted to come to a club with us, and she asked if we could go to a coffee shop instead so she could bring her baby. I asked if there was no one who could watch her baby. She lives with her husband who works from home and her in-laws, to which she replied that she'll feel insane mom guilt if she goes to a club and leaves her baby at home. I said that I understood, but that I really needed a night out, so maybe we could do coffee the next day. They love to listen to you.
God, you're listening to me?
She texted me the following day asking why I had such a big problem having her child around. I was baffled because I'm the one constantly changing plans to accommodate her son, but I asked her to understand me for one night. I really needed a night out and didn't want to be in a coffee shop. She sounded agitated by my reasoning, but left it at that. Now, the girls' trip is coming in a week. I didn't really tell her about the trip because I knew that she couldn't come alone, but she heard it from another friend. She jokingly asked why I didn't invite her, to which I laughed off because it felt so awkward. I told her that she was welcome to come, as always, and I would love to have her there. I thought the call was an indication that she would want to come, or that she would come alone. She called the next day to ask if the resort we were going to be staying at was child-friendly. I said that it wasn't, as we were looking for more of a club atmosphere, and that's what it was. She then said that she couldn't make it then if it wasn't going to properly accommodate her son in the activities that we do. I said I understand and that I'm sorry. I got a call from her older sister last night calling me all sorts of names because I didn't want my best friend's son to come on the girls' trip and that I'm being childish.
Actually, the baby's being childish.
Oh, get him. I'm genuinely still in such shock and don't know how to even type what I'm feeling right now. We haven't had proper fun together in ages because it's either we're too busy caring for my best friend's baby or a few of us were missing because of the vid or etc. This is the first time that we've all been together since we graduated undergrad and started our masters. We've been having hectic years and just wanted one carefree holiday. So am I the a-hole for wanting our annual girls trip to actually be a girls trip? Edit, I tried to hint once that I wanted my birthday a few months ago to just be us, but she laughed it off and made a joke about how her and her son are attached by the hip and that she couldn't leave him. She asked if we could minimize how much booze there was going to be so she could bring her son. And we do have some comments, but I want to hear yours.
No.
A-hole or not.
And you're not the a-hole at all.
Yeah.
I think when you become a parent, you have to realize that your life is going to change. Like, that's just unavoidable.
So, verdict from the comments is not the a-hole, but let's read some of those comments. One Mike Nation says, info. What do the other 4 women think about not telling her of the plan? OP said, we all wanted to just be upfront with her about wanting her to come alone, but she's a very sensitive person and definitely wouldn't take it well. That's why we decided to keep it on the down low and just bring it up randomly this week. No Bracket Society says, I'm going to go with not the a-hole, but be prepared to potentially lose that friendship. You're allowed to invite whoever you want to the girls' night, but maybe have a separate, more low-key get-together with the best friend if you still want to stay friends. I don't think it's fair for her to bring the baby every single time, but I also don't think that it's fair to only do adult-exclusive activities.
Which isn't what OP's doing, to be clear. OP
Yeah, exactly.
is offering both activities.
OP responds, yeah, for sure. But I think that that's what the problem is. 99% of the time when we meet up, we go to the park or a cafe so she can bring her son. We rarely ever do anything without her and her son, which is why we are desperate for this girls trip. We love her and her son, but it's been a long time without having actual fun, to be honest. OP has additional info on her friend's husband. Is she in an abusive or controlling marriage? Just to clear things up, we actually know and are friends with her husband. He contacted us several times asking us to take her out to a spa or something, which he'll pay for because she doesn't get time away from the baby. But she picks a fight with him and says that she doesn't want to be away from the baby. She doesn't even allow him to take the baby out by himself.
And that's also a problem that she needs to work on, because that's your child's father, and he needs to be able to and be trusted to take care of this child.
He is older than her and she is a housewife, but it was by choice. She keeps saying how lucky she is that she's married to a man who will provide for her and let her be a full-time mom. A lot of people seem to have the same theory as you, but I genuinely don't see it as her being influenced by anyone. She's been judgmental of mothers taking time away from their kids, even going back to work, and since we were kids.
Ooh.
Oh, interesting. She has a one-dimensional view of what motherhood is, and I don't think that anyone can change that. Also, not sure if this is important, but her in-laws always offer to babysit and tell my friend to go on a date with her husband or go do things she likes, but she declines. There's no one that she feels is good enough to take care of her child. Even her own mother hasn't even been alone with her grandchild. And I don't think it's about anyone getting into her head, actually. Her husband and in-laws encourage her to take time away from the baby, but she thinks that motherhood means being with your child 24/7. I mentioned this in the previous post comments, but she criticizes our other friends and just any mother who goes anywhere without their baby. She's even against taking her child to kindergarten and the early years of school because she thinks that she won't be ready to let them go.
Okay, well, she needs to go to therapy.
Yeah,
because a lot of people are saying postpartum anxiety.
Yeah.
This is unhealthy. This is unhealthy. You are literally saying, I don't want to put my child into school because I don't want to let them go.
Yeah, that's not fair to the kid.
And that's not a criticism to like homeschooling or anything. It's criticism to this person's thought process.
Yeah. So she clearly needs help for sure. Triplet Mom 961 says, OP, your friend is being ridiculous. When my triplets were little, my husband encouraged me to get away for a girls' weekend trip, and he stayed home with them when they were around 13 months old. They are grown now and have turned into wonderful adults. Daughter will be heading into med school soon, and one son is a firefighter, and the other son manages a restaurant. We have a great relationship, and an added bonus that they are very close to their dad because of all the time that he spent with them growing up. OP responds, oh, that's so wholesome. You and your husband sound like amazing parents and partners. I wish my friend let her husband take up any sort of responsibility with their son, but she doesn't. She sees her son as hers and not theirs. Not sure how he feels about it. Probably not great. I would not feel good. OP on never cutting her off after 3 occasions and her friend's thoughts on clubbing. It's been a lot more than 3 occasions. Also, she doesn't like it when 5 of us go out together without her. I can understand how that must make her feel, but for her to ask us to not go clubbing and just to go with her to a coffee shop instead every time rubs me the wrong way. I posted a picture of me on a date at a pub on Instagram and she messaged me saying, hey, have you had a problem with booze for a Tinder date? What does that even mean? She says. OP, when told the only thing that she messed up was excluding her friend and planning behind her back, she says, I agree. I felt terrible planning the trip without her, but honestly, every time we plan something and try to tell her that we want it to be just us, she'll definitely still come for the plan, but will still come with her son. I just thought including her in the planning would definitely make her come, but there was a 0% chance that she would come alone. And I also wouldn't be able to tell her to just not come if she couldn't come alone. Sounds bad, I know, but she also isn't the type to hear us out. We'll have to speak to her at one point or another though, so I think I'll definitely have a good talk with her and let everything out this week. Let's hope that we can see eye to eye. Thank you for the advice. And we do have an update. But what do you think about those comments? They seem pretty accurate.
Yeah, I think so. I think communication is best thing to do right now. I think you need to tell her how you guys are feeling, how she's making you guys feel, as if you're like lesser than or, you know, wrong for having a different view on parenthood than she does.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if she doesn't respond to that positively, your answer.
Yeah, exactly. I think, again, it's just the kind of thing. It's like you need to be okay, especially at such a young age, like with people hanging out together and not with you. Like, especially if it has a valid reason. If they're just excluding you to exclude you, that would suck. Yeah. But if they're excluding you because you don't want to do the things that they want to do, then that's on you, kind of, you know? Like, that's not... It's a bit like not personal.
If I were like inviting, when I rock climb, I invite literally everyone. And some of my friends don't want to do that.
Yeah,
But I've invited them.
exactly.
And if they were like, oh, you're always going rock climbing on Wednesdays, you're
Yeah.
excluding me. I'm like, well, do you want to come? And they're like, no, you have to do something
Yeah.
else. And I was like, no, that's my rock climbing days.
Right. It's not you that's excluding them.
No.
So, for anyone who read my previous post and shared their advice, thank you. And here's an update. So, we went on our girls' trip and had the best week we had since before the vid started. We all kind of chose to not speak about the issue with our friend and just have a good time and sort out the issue when we got back home. The day after we got back, I texted my best friend and asked if we could come over and see her and her son, and also to deliver the gifts that we had gotten them during the trip. She read the messages and hasn't replied for 3 days. I called her husband just to ask if she was okay, and he said that she was, and he doesn't know why she wasn't responding to me. Anyway, I decided not to double text as I didn't want to nag her. But by the way, I want you to nag us. Demand more stories. Sure. Because you're going to get them. Just go to Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast app is. We've got full episodes with more stories just like this one. Just search OK Storytime. That's all you gotta do. She texted back after 3 days with an essay-like response explaining how disappointed she felt that I thought she would give up days of motherhood just to drink and, quote, be a skank.
Yikes.
Good to know what she thinks of us then, lol. She ended the message by saying that she and her husband are trying for another baby and she doesn't have the mental capacity to deal with our crap.
Okay, bye.
After which she left all the group chats and blocked us all on every social media platform. So that's that, I guess. Best friend since year 4, and this is how our friendship has ended. Still baffled, to be honest, but maybe it was for the best. Hoping I'll see the good in this one day. Thank you so much to everyone that responded, and Happy New Year, lovelies. And that is the end of that story.
I called out my cheater friend. She said I ruined her social life.
Cheater, pumpkin eater.
So I, 24 female, have been friends with this girl, 24 female, let's call her Amelia, since we were both teenagers. We became friends in middle school because we found out we had common interests, and I thought she was a really fun person to be around. Amelia has always been the star of the show, the kind of girl with quirky interests who relishes in being different. I don't say this in a negative way at all, really. I loved her for how much she didn't seem to care about other people's opinions. By the way, this comes from Medical Raccoon 7297. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I was also the only one of her friends to acknowledge that she had some flaws that made her behave, well, irresponsibly towards us sometimes. She would constantly bail on or be late to meetings because she wanted to do something else more, and she tended to be very oblivious to people's feelings. I kind of became the damage control friend over time. I tell people that she didn't mean it, that she had issues with planning, all of which was somewhat true because Amelia had ADHD. To be clear, I never saw anything wrong with that. I would constantly ask our friends for patience, to not get too mad at her, and help her get out of problems. Entering adulthood, I had a really bad breakup with my ex, who had started cheating on me with a friend of mine, Katrina, and blamed me for it because I was A-spec identity and too career focused, neither of which were things that I had hidden before we started dating. During this time, I had a few friends who supported me, but Amelia was mostly absent. When she came back after I had gotten out of my mental health spiral, she claimed that she just didn't want to take sides and invite that energy into her life. When she was so busy with university and her new boyfriend, James, 25 male. I was just so happy to have her back that I didn't say anything about it. We just started hanging out again, though she went overseas and started ignoring my messages then. Sorry for the lengthy context, but it's all pretty necessary for understanding what happened. 1 month ago, Amelia broke up with James out of the blue. James sort of went quiet about it, not bad-mouthing her to anyone. I asked Amelia, and she told me evasively that it was just differences in opinion about the future. It felt off to me, so I approached a mutual friend, Heather, 24 female, for more details. She had approached James after the breakup because she was worried about his mental health. Be clear, Heather's happily in a relationship. This was just her being a sweetie. Heather was a little hesitant, but eventually she told me over a lunch coffee that she didn't think she wanted to hang out with Amelia anymore. I was startled by this, and the old instinct to make excuses for my friend came up, but then I thought about the weird expression she'd made when I asked her about James. I suppressed that instinct and asked Heather to explain more. This was when I learned that Amelia had mentioned to Heather that she had cheated on James, apparently for over a year overseas while at university. She'd come back home to her boyfriend, told him this, told him that she simply felt like she was just settling with him because he was the safe option, but that he wasn't handsome enough or rich enough for her. There was no way, I thought immediately, Amelia wouldn't do that. It had to be a misunderstanding, but Heather wouldn't lie either. As one might expect, I went to talk to Amelia after this. When she learned I'd found out, she got defensive immediately, claiming that she'd just fallen in love. To be clear, I didn't take an aggressive stance. Just sat at our dining table, asking her questions gently, stressing that I didn't want to judge her based on other people's stories, that I wanted to hear the events from her mouth. Honestly, maybe staying with Heather's version might have been better. She told me that she had gotten bored of James, who had always mentioned that he just wanted to live a normal life with her. She said that she had strung him along for a year because it felt too cold to break up over text. She said that I should have understand that she had ADHD and that she could procrastinate on things sometimes. That as a fellow neurodivergent person, I should empathize with her and not give her a hard time over it. Me, I'm not giving you a hard time and I'm not gonna gossip. I just wanted to know why. Amelia, you've broken up before. You should understand when a guy's just not right for you. Me, we're not here to talk about me right now. And if you just directly told James that and broken up with him, I wouldn't have criticized that. I came here hoping to hear that you didn't actually cheat on him, but I guess I was wrong. This is where I got up to leave. Amelia seemed to sense something was wrong, but her next words surprised me. Amelia, so what are you gonna tell Heather and the others? They haven't been talking to me recently. Me, talk to them. Amelia says, yeah, to get them to stop being mad at me. Me, I can't really blame them. Amelia, what does that mean? I went quiet here, trying to figure out how to say my next words. I struggle a lot in the moment. However, then Amelia started going on a tirade about James, how he was stealing all their friends, how once people heard about this, instead of understanding how hard it had been for her to break up with him, they all would just start ignoring her. I sat there getting more and more anxious until I finally cut her off. Me, what you're saying is awful, Amelia. James didn't even say anything, you did. To be honest, I'm not happy with you for that either. It's not fair to him, and cheating is something I can't ignore. She looked at me and then accused me of betraying her, saying that I was always supposed to be on her side and proving that she was correct and that people just weren't being accommodating of her. When I didn't immediately apologize, she said something awful to me. You got together with someone super quickly too after your breakup, and like the two of you look so happy together that I thought I deserved that too. New boyfriend makes me feel that way. But if you're just gonna get mad at me, then maybe this proves that you and Evan, 25 non-binary, aren't as solid as you think you are, because you're still hung up over your ex. I'm not proud of what happened next, but I lost it. I yelled at her that I had started dating Evan 2 years after my breakup. What? After recovering from everything before, and that she hadn't been there. That she'd been taking Instagram photos with Katrina, the girl my ex cheated with during that time. That she had no right to question my relationship or blame me. That she had done exactly what my ex had done to me, despite knowing how devastated I was. That she had blamed everyone in her life but herself for being a cheater. That she had weaponized my old breakup to hurt me right now so that I would excuse her actions again. I said I wanted nothing to do with her anymore. I left after that. I didn't say anything to anyone, but apparently Amelia called someone to complain about me and the whole story got out. Most people have cut her off, which made her freak out. Yeah, that's her own fault. She told everyone. She tattled on herself. She kept spamming me with messages claiming that I destroyed her social life, even though she had never done anything to me. That it was unfair to be mad at her for her actions towards someone else. One of our mutual friends texted me, accusing me of siding with a man over Amelia. I know I shouldn't doubt myself, and Evan tells me they're relieved that I stood up for myself instead of letting her use me as a shield, but I can't help being worried that it might have been too much. I just want to know people's opinions on it, if perhaps I'm the a-hole for being too confrontational when it came to how I spoke to her. So am I the a-hole? For everyone who is telling me that I shouldn't have dug into things, I think you're probably right. But at the same time, I wasn't aware that it was something like this. I just felt something weird going on with my friends, and I wanted to help out if I could. I think the reason why I asked about this was because a part of me is mourning because of suddenly cutting off Amelia, since she's been a part of my life for so long. To be clear, no matter what, I'm not going back to being friends with her again. It just hurts a lot to cut her off. I guess that might be why, to some people, I might sound a bit childish. I do feel a bit like I'm suddenly being forced to deal with something a younger version of me may be at fault for, or should have spoken up against earlier. It's a lot of feelings that I really don't know how to deal with or have the energy for right now. Guilt for always shielding her from responsibility and maybe causing her to become used to being able to do anything. Anger at the fact that I only wanted the best for her for so long, but that she was so quick to pour salt in the same wounds that she never seemed to care about. I feel like I do finally recognize that in a way, over time, I ended up being used by her, but I'm definitely not blameless either. By the way, I would blame you if you didn't listen to full episodes with stories just like this. All you have to do is go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search a Bookie Storytime, and then you will be blameless.
Just same old, same old. That makes sense that she's still mourning that loss of friendship, because it is still a loss. You know, that still sucks. But over time, like, you'll know that you did the right thing, that she was in the wrong. That's all that's important. And it is nice that, like, the other friends also agree. Because I feel like we just read so many stories where, like, OP is like, this person is totally in the wrong, and no one
else
agrees.
can see it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad that she's at least not alone in this opinion.
Absolutely. Your friend is a cheater, and she doesn't see anything wrong with that. And she announced herself to the whole world and is mad that the whole world hates her. But there's a little bit left to this story. Either way, whether you were the people that encouraged me or told me that I had my own share of blame in this situation, thank you for your good intentions. As of now, things haven't really changed that much. Just people asking me questions that I don't really know how to answer. I can't really say I'm okay now, but I feel like at the very least, I've woken up a bit more and realized that I shouldn't have defended her for so long. So I'll probably take a bit more time to myself, and then I'll try to move on from this situation. Once again, thank you everyone. And that is the end of that story, folks. And the end of that episode.